And we often talk about the housing and homelessness crisis. But what is that? Well, it's lots of things. It's welfare reform, so things like the bedroom tax, or local market rents, for example, local housing allowance, not allowing you to access properties in the private rented sector because housing benefit just doesn't pay enough to be able to access them properties, which is pushing people into houses of multiple occupation. So welfare reform is a real driver here in terms of the proliferation of HMOs. Also, when we look at the labour market, the proliferation of low-paid jobs, zero-hour contracts, part-time employment when people want full-time hours, again, is creating a really challenging environment to be able to afford to pay rent both in the social sector and in the private sector. And as we know, the housing market has just become significantly unaffordable for many people, especially younger people, when you look at what's been happening with wages stagnating and property prices just growing exponentially. So the gap between what people earn and what properties cost just continues to grow. And obviously getting onto the property ladder is a real challenge for a lot of people, which is why we've seen things like shared ownership initiatives. And then in addition to that, people struggling with personal and household debt. All of this points to a housing and homelessness crisis, and which is why we're seeing a proliferation of houses of multiple occupation. So I've always been really clear in terms of what I think needs to be done to tackle this. And the answers for me have always been found in history. What happened after World War II was councils up and down the country were given the resources to build council houses en masse. And what we need to get back to is genuinely empowering councils up and down the country to start building truly affordable housing for the people of this country. And that's how we tackle the housing and homelessness crisis. Otherwise, we will continue to see this drift towards HMOs. But, irrespective of that, the city of Salford are going to be tackling, rogue landlords in the city. We're going to continue to build on our great work. And this is just another step in the right direction, in my opinion, to tackling houses of multiple occupation where people aren't delivering good services, people aren't maintaining the property, homes are being overcrowded, and the local authority is going to enforce against some of those.